crowd you got here the night before Thanksgiving.
So cool.
Crowd. This is really interesting. You know, a lot of people see this movie, they see the title "I Smile Back," Sarah Silverman, they think it's going to be fun and stuff, and it's different, and completely.
It's different than fun.
Yeah. But oddly enough, I heard Howard Stern had something to do with your connection to getting this role.
He wrote the screenplay. No, the woman who wrote the novel, I Smile Back, her name is Amy Koppelman, and she was listening to Howard Stern driving down the West Side Highway, and I was on the show talking about my own experience with depression, and she just connected to it and really thought, made a real connection between me and Lainey and me. Yeah.
Just that sort of fate there.
And she got the book to me, and I read it, and she adapted it into a screenplay with her writing partner, Paige Dillon, and it just was this kind of 4-year-long process, and then it happened.
Did you expect it was ever going to happen? You sort of, yeah.
No, I didn't actually. I think because they wanted to attach me to it, and I always feel very hoity-toity when I say that word. And I said sure. I didn't think about it. I didn't think twice about it because it honestly didn't occur to me that it would ever get made. Most movies don't get made, you know. I've been attached to a lot of things. And or they get the money and they get a star to be in it. So
news alert, you are a star.
I am a star. Thank you. I know I'm a celebrity and I know I'm big in my area, but you know, I've always kind of accepted the fact that I'm meant to be fringe, and I embrace that. And but it happened. They got the money, they got the funding. A few years later, I got an email, and it was a bulk email with everyone involved saying, "We got the money, we can make this." And I replied all and wrote, "Yay!" And then just coiled into the bath mat of my bathroom floor in full panic attack. Just a physical, just complete panic. And I remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this. What if I can't? And that whole thing of what if that we all tell ourselves these horror stories. What if I never fall in love again? What if I never think of another joke? But it's temporary. And I realized Lainey, she lives in that state of what if, of anxiety. And so then I thought, well, maybe I can do that. Right now on a bathroom.
That sounds like that classic actor's insecurity, you know, oh God, I'm at the moment of truth now. Can I do it? I'm going to be found out. I'm going to be found out. I mean, every actor I know sort of goes through that. Every good actor.
I always think of my sister Susan, who's a rabbi, and she always, her thing is she thinks of herself as dumb. When you look at all her accomplishments, everything she's done, she shouldn't feel like she's dumb, but that's her thing. That's her hangout. That she thinks she's dumb, and she's brilliant. But and then she went to Harvard, and her therapist at the time, I guess she was telling her she feels like a fraud, and she feels and her therapist said, "You're not tricking anyone." You know, and it was kind of that's a kind of nice thing to just relax into and accept. If you get into Harvard and you think you're a fraud, Harvard knows what they're doing. Just in life, it's kind of a nice thing to just go all right, I'm not fooling anyone, so I must, there must be something there.
So once you went into it, did you do a lot of research into depression and things like that when you got this role? And what
I Googled it.
I WebMD'd it.
Not WebMD, we were just talking about that.
Well, yeah,
I put a lot of thought into it. A lot of my friends laugh at me because sometimes I just spend the day sitting in my chair in my living room, and they'll say, "What are you doing?" And I'll go, "I'm working." And they think I'm just being lazy, and part of it is true, but a lot of it is thinking about it, marinating on it, and I had, to a degree, myself to a resource, just of the kind of the basic bones of depression, and my own therapy. My therapist actually was really helpful, and then I have some friends who, I haven't struggled with depression, with addiction, but I'm surrounded by it. I'm a comedian. I'm completely entrenched in it, and so I had experience with that from one side of it, and then I had a couple of friends that were really helpful and gracious, and gave me like really just details and of their experience, and especially like with the detoxing, it's so hard to not be trite, and I worried so much to just seem like it. I got my ideas from other movies and television shows and Lifetime, and because you see repeating things, and some of the reasons that there are things that are trite is because they're true. But I wanted it to be specific to an experience, and I did the best I could. And the rest, I took the script and the scenes in each moment, and I pretended it was real.
Well, that's a good thing. Did you take it? This is obviously shot on a smaller budget, independent filmmaking. But when you're out there, were you just totally immersed? Did you take the character home with you, and you couldn't let go of it after you were shooting every day, or can you just let go?
It was a surprise to me to find that I completely carried it with me, and it was like my truth of this is what I've in the past scoffed and rolled my eyes at with other actors talking about it, and I never knew it was true until it happened to me, which isn't very fair of me. So American of me, probably. But what it is, I think, is I don't have easy access to my emotions, and I'm not. I don't have my 10,000 hours in of dramatic acting. There are parallels and a lot of things similar and walls shared between comedy and drama, but this was something I had never really done, and so you always hear Tom Hanks can be like the life of the party, and then they call action and he's Captain Phillips, and that's amazing to me. He's been doing it for so long, and he's so good at it that he has access. He can get access to his emotions and then put it back between scenes. And I thought I could do that, but I was not able to do that. So my emotions are so tightly compartmentalized that once they were out, in between scenes, it tended to just kind of be on my lap, and I found myself acting out, I lost my shit over there was no coffee at one time. I was like, how can there not be coffee? It's free. I know, it's coffee and water. The crew needs coffee. I need coffee, And I went on a small apology tour, but I realized, because it's not my usual, I'm pretty happy-go-lucky, but it all just ended up being on my lap, and I would go home, and it was always just a race I need a lot of sleep, so it was a race to wash my face and get to bed and find a Law and Order marathon and be able to just zone out and fall asleep to the gentle tones of softcore rape and murder, which for some reason has that like McDonald's special sauce. I don't know what it is that is calming to me.
You know, you mentioned the fine line between comedy and drama, and there really is, you know, and some of the best actors are really from comedy, I find. There's just something there. I mean, it's truth. It's all about truth, really.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, you can tell every once in a while it's, you know, a comedian just wants it too bad and it's a little sweaty. Just in my opinion as a viewer of movies and TV and stuff. But there is a lot of similarity. Comedy comes from a dark place, you know. I can say as pretty much a blanket statement, you know, people who become funny because as a survival skill. Like, you know, we all survived childhood by figuring out a way to get by, to survive, to be accepted, or to just get through the day, whether it's total disassociation or, you know, or being funny, you know, and so I know that's how I got through childhood and adulthood as well, but, you know, it's also what makes us an everyman kind of figure, comedians, because everybody has to figure out a way to survive childhood, and that's what we kind of have in common. And I forget what the question is.
It was about truth, but you know.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Well, I was getting to something, I think. Well, it's nothing. I just, you know, it is to a degree just say, I did a drama called Take This Waltz, and Seth Rogen's in it, and he's so beautiful in it, and when we did press for it, the question was always, you know, how is it doing drama? And we both were just like, it's the same, because you're just saying words honestly, you know. But there are nuances that are different, of course. But with this, it was a little more than that. But I did find similarities between doing Lainey and the comedy that I like to explore, which is more like taboo things, putting light on things that are dark. And, you know, there was one thing that was so parallel to me in my mind, which is she hates herself. And I feel like people spend so much time being self-deprecating and self-loathing, and they misunderstand their self-loathing as some kind of modesty, and it's not. It's complete self-obsession. There's no room for anything else, you know. And I talk about it in my stand-up, but that's also who Lainey is. And in my stand-up, I say, you know, Mother Teresa didn't walk around complaining that her thighs touched. You know, she had shit to do. And with Lainey, it's the same thing. You know, in therapy, they say if you live in the past, it's depression, and if you live in the future, that's anxiety, and that's why we have no choice but to be in the moment, ideally, for our perfect selves. And Lainey does. She lives in the future. She lives in that state of what if, of panic, of total anxiety, and there is no room for anything else. She's so terrified of fucking her kids up that there's no room to do anything else but fuck her kids up. And the only place she has any real control is her own destruction.
It's really, the ending of the movie I found disturbing, but I want to believe that there was hope. I just, you know, I don't know. It could be open to interpretation. What happens after that?
Oh, it all works out. She gets better.
That's in the sequel? That's so good. We hope so, because I really have sympathy for her, empathy for her. You know, certainly in the way you play her. I know she's caught up in this whole thing and she can't escape it.
That's what I love about it, is that it's so subjective, and whether you have sympathy for her or you empathize with her or you have total disdain for this selfish bitch, it depends entirely on the baggage you come into the theater with. You know, what you think of her is gonna have to do entirely with the prism of your own experience that you're seeing it through. And I love that about art in general, you know, like, what's that story? I'm gonna fuck it up because I only heard it like secondhand, but it's like the guy who goes to see the same painting every day, and they're like, why are you looking at the same painting every day? But the point is like, because his life is changing each day, what he's seeing changes. I am sure I'm not, that's the thing,
that
right?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's
it absolutely
interesting to
does.
me.
Yeah, you're just looking at it differently.
I think I heard it paraphrased, so I know I tell it to you paraphrased, but I thought it was far out.
All right, guys, who's got a question out there? You do, right there. Your hand went up, right up.
Yeah, how much of the dialogue was improvised and it was fantastic?
How much was improvised?
Maybe some, you know, only because I'm not the best actor I can be. I tweak the small words to make it my own, you know. But no, it was scripted. It was not improvised. Wouldn't that be great if it was like, that would be neat to improvise a drama like the way they do Waiting for Guffman, like. Anyway, that's a neat idea, but it wasn't that.
Okay, right in the center. Yep.
Are you still feeling the burn?
I am still feeling the
Are
burn.
you still feeling the burn? Oh, Bernie Sanders? Okay.
You know, listen, I like Hillary a lot too. It's not like I have to pick sides, although I just like Bernie because he's just not for sale. He won't take money from banks or big business, only from unions and people, you know, and someone who has been in the Senate this long and so unjaded and been on the right side of history for 50 years, you know, when you can look back on someone's record and see the choices they've made and see that he was fighting, being outspoken about gay marriage in the early 80s, and, you know, that's so impressive to me. In terms of Hillary, I mean, she was late in the game in terms of something like gay marriage. Obviously, she's always been great with women's rights, but I like that she changed with new information. You know, I like people who change as well, can be changed, but, you know, she's great. She's really strong. She's a real politician, but I just love Bernie. I am feeling the burn.
Me too. Me too.
I got faith in when I said, keep down the Jewish thing as long as you can.
Yes, right there. Go.
Such a brave, brilliant performance. Blown away. I'm curious about rehearsals. If you had rehearsals, and or you didn't, and if you did, how they were, or maybe no rehearsals.
Did you have rehearsals? Did you have time for rehearsals?
No, we had 20 days to shoot it. It was a $400,000 budget. We didn't have rehearsal. Beforehand we had read-throughs, and then we would sit around at a deli and go page by page and talk about how we felt about each thing and change things and alter things. There was a lot of time to like massage things in the script that didn't ring true, so there really wasn't, other than the rehearsing of the choreography of the scene, marks and the rehearsal, we were just shot basically because we didn't have that luxury. But being in a high pressure 20-day shoot, there's something that gives as well. You know, it sucks to not have rehearsal, but it also, there's such it takes a village, speaking of Hillary, vibe of like, you know, no one's in it for the money. Even the people with the shittiest jobs are doing it for the love of it, you know. And not that any of the jobs are shitty, but, you know, there are PAs that are, you know, the first one's there and the last one's still leaving. It's pretty thankless and it's a lot of work. But
Maybe the craft services guy that you were screaming at about.
there was not a craft services guy. It was Amy Koppelman herself was pretty much craft services. She wrote it.
Okay, right in the front.
Is it based on a true story?
Is it based on a true story?
I can't really get the truth out of Amy, but she said it's based on a few people and herself. And you can read interviews with Amy Koppelman that are amazing and where she talks a lot about her own depression, and you can see it reflected in
Her father-in-law is Charlie, right? Charlie Kappelman?
Her father-in-law is Charlie Koppelman?
Yes.
I don't know.
Do you know the Koppelmans?
Of the Koppelman family? Oh, that makes sense, because her husband, Brian Koppelman, who's a writer and a producer, and he wrote a lot of the, like, Soderbergh movies and
I
stuff.
was 17 producing it. Charlie. For that record. But that was before you were born.
Wow, what was your record? You brought this on yourself, don't act shy. Waiting for Paul to call? Aww. Check it out.
Waiting for Paul to call by.
Now she's shy. Look at her. She's
Oh,
like,
okay. Roulette Records. We're all going to go out to Amoeba and try to find it.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, right here.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what scene was most difficult for you. Was it making that way with children?
What was the scenes that are most difficult for you? She's saying the sex scenes or working with kids. Two great kid actors in this, by the way. Yeah, really good.
No, maybe the first day of shooting, it rained, so we did rain cover, what was slated to be the rain cover, which was my sex scene with Donnie. And that was maybe the hardest because I had never met him, and I was so nervous, and I was completely naked, and it was the first day of shooting, and like saying hi to people. But I was so nervous about it that it ended up not being that bad. My friend Dave, who lives in New York City, I told him I was so nervous about it, and I talked to him at the end of the week, and he goes, "How's it going?" And I go, "It's hard. I don't know if I'm cut out for this." And he said, "How was the butt sex scene?" I go, "Oh, it was pretty good." I was so nervous about it that it wasn't as bad. And Tommy was so. Here's another thing I used to roll my eyes at that now I understand, which he and Josh both were so generous. They were generous. They so they were so concerned with my comfort and experience, and it was so helpful. Working with the kids wasn't really a joy for me, even though it was, there was one moment where Shane, the girl, got upset because she saw me upset, and I always was goofing around with her, making her laugh. I love kids so much, and I had to, make her understand that I'm really fine, but that was, and the really challenging stuff, like, I feel like when I get a question like that, I want to say, like, well, the teddy bear scene, but all that stuff was really exhilarating for me. That's the exciting stuff for me. It was so fun, and fun may not be the word. It was exhilarating. It was, and the stuff with the kids was, what worked for me was, I've got material for every age group, and I love kids, and I'm good with kids, but also I love them so much, and I am very connected with the desperation I have around kids, that I can have around kids, the need I have for them to adore me and to like me and respond to me, and kids are heartbreakers, because if they're not interested, they're not interested, And I think that Lainey has such a desperate love for her kids. She loves them fiercely, but she loves them with such desperation, and kids feel that. Its energy is real. It's science. It's matter. They feel it. And, she blames herself when her son gets this tick, and in my opinion, she is to blame. I think she is to blame. I think he feels all that pressure and anxiety, and it becomes a part of him. So, not that I don't have empathy for her, but I do think that she's probably right. She probably caused it, and so I think there's a kind of parallel with my own kind of desperation around kids and the thought of children and stuff, because that's just, I didn't take that path, and I I get sad about it, but I love my life. But it's not always, you can't have everything, it turns out, and I made choices and I'm glad I did, but this has gone a different direction.
It's very interesting. It's almost like therapy right now.
I could be a fun dad. I would love to be a fun dad. So many of my comedian friends are guys and they have kids because they have partners that wanted kids. And so they get to be on the road and live their life as full as they can and make their careers number one and come home and their kids run to them and go, Daddy! And they get to give them their best selves, and I'd love that. I'd be a great, fun dad. But I don't have the life where I could be the mother I would want to be at this point. That wasn't a question.
But it was a great answer. Okay, we got time for like two more, but you're right there. Keep raising your hand. Go ahead. Yeah.
Are you going to continue with dramatic roles? I really enjoyed your Masters of Sex. I think it was so wonderful.
Saying she enjoyed her in Masters of Sex. Yes.
Are you going to continue to look for dramatic roles? Because if so, I have a perfect.
Okay. Are you going to continue in dramatic roles, and are you going to do her script?
I can't wait to hear all about it. I never have made a trajectory. I've never thought about it. This just came to me. And I was so excited to get a chance to do something other than what you tend to get offered. It's odd, but we're in a business of creativity, and yet it's very rare that a creative person can imagine you in a way they haven't already seen you before. And so I knew that I was lucky to get this chance. And so maybe I'll get more chances, and if I'm into it, then I'll do it. I live my life. I have a great life. I keep my overhead incredibly low. And that way I can do whatever I want. I can make a video about Bernie Sanders on my couch, and I love that just as much as doing a movie or a TV thing or So, yeah, maybe. Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'll take your card.
Hey, that's a good way to end it, too, because we look forward to seeing whatever you do. Let's thank Sarah.